Am I the butthole for taking an Uber to a wedding so I wouldn't be late? My sister got married last weekend. I flew into town and my parents insisted that I stay with them instead of a hotel like I wanted. My parents are consistently late for everything. I think it's a Latin thing. I hate being late. I think it's disrespectful. The wedding was at 2:30. My folks live about half an hour from the church. Noon rolls up and my folks aren't even getting ready yet. They are adults and I am over dealing with them. I get ready. I send for an Uber and I am at the church for 2 o'clock. I check in with my sister. She asks me if I had any problems getting my parents to church. I told her that I came by myself. She blew my white and said that I was responsible for getting them there on time. Well, nobody asked me to do that. I didn't even want to stay there. So now everyone starts calling my parents. They are getting ready. They were about 35 minutes late. The service was shortened because there was another wedding later that day. Everyone is still mad at me for not getting my parents there on time. My aunt said that I'm in butthole for messing up the timing of the wedding. My mom says it's my fault for not reminding them to get ready. Am I the only one who thinks adults should be able to be on time for their own kid's wedding without help? Not the butthole. If they need to be reminded to get ready on their daughter's wedding day, they need a live-in caretaker. Unless you were specifically asked to get them to the church, that's not your job. If your sister truly thinks you messed up the wedding by being on time, I think it's a good time for some space between you and your family. Not the butthole. If they wanted you to do that, they should have asked on advance. Blink blink. And your sister couldn't have asked you beforehand to ride herd on your parents and get them to the church on time? I'm guessing everyone's blaming you because you're the comfortable, stress-free option. People know that you're not going to blow up, start a screaming match outside their house, and then send in the flying monkeys. Am I right? Am I the butthole for not cleaning up our dog's pee quick enough? I, 21 female, live with my boyfriend, 24 male, we have a dog named Keto, he's a Pomsky. We didn't get Keto too long ago, he's about 6 months old now and we got him when he was 2 months. He's quite hard to deal with. I've been told by people that we're not training him properly and he's gonna grow into a bad dog. The main problem though, is he doesn't go to the toilet outside. I've tried whatever I can think of but he just goes wherever he wants inside the house to pee poop. We watch him carefully and try to prevent it as much as possible. We have training pads but he just ignores them. There's a lot more stuff but obviously there's a character limit. Recently my boyfriend mentioned he's fed up of having to clean up dog mess all the time and fed up of the smell of it. He was also complaining about taking him on walks and other things. Luckily for him, he works Monday to Friday all day, so while he's working I look after him. One day, my BF was at work and I was still in bed sleeping. I always keep Keto in the room with me when sleeping, and I put a pad in the room in case he needs the toilet but like I said, he just ignores it. So he ends up peeing right next to the radiator which was on, and well it smelt really strong and had soaked into the floorboards. When I woke up, I said to myself I'll clean it later. Evening comes and my BF returns home. When he goes into the bedroom he gags and asks WTF that smell is, so I tell him. He was angry that I didn't even bother to get up and clean it, and that when I finally did get up I still didn't. He was really upset. He tried to clean it but it was soaked in so the smell was lingering and he wouldn't stop talking about it. I said sorry, but reminded him I have depression and don't feel motivated to get up usually. I told my friend about it and she said it's kind of disgusting to be honest. Am I the butthole? Edit, we don't have a crate for him because we think they look mean and cruel to put a dog in. Edit 2, we already have an animal, a rabbit for 3 years. So we do have experience with animals a bit. Edit 3, a friend of mine mentioned puppy classes to my boyfriend but he claims he's been in one before and that they're a waste of time money because they apparently just teach your dog basic tricks, like sit and stuff. I don't know if he just doesn't want to pay for one or if he's being serious. Also, I don't really want to share too much personal info but I have other mental health issues apart from depression. I have gotten help before, but the mental health system seems to stop caring a lot once you turn 18. I've been trying to get back to seeing someone. Thanks for responses. Edit 4, I guess I know why the comments have been turned off, but I kinda wish whoever turned them off just left them on because now I keep getting messages instead. You're the butthole. Please rehome your dog. You are not fit to be a dog owner. Greater than I'll clean up this pee on with later. Yep, that's you're the butthole right there. Firstly get rid of the pads, using them makes the dog think it's okay to pee inside. Take him out as soon as he wakes up, after eating, after playing, basically at least every hour unless asleep. Second, clear up after it right away. 'Cause that's just disgusting. You're the butthole. Am I the butthole for telling my coworker I would never go out with her son? I, 20 female, just started working at a new job a few weeks ago. Everything has been smooth sailing with my coworkers, all fun, cool PPL, until yesterday. For a little context before I get into it, my assistant manager, Sherry, 45 female, has a son, Travis, 19 male. When I first started working and met her, the topic of relationships came up and she asked if I was single. I told her yes. I got out of long-term relationship this past July and I'm thinking about jumping back into the dating pool. She told me her son was around my age and that we would probably like each other, and asked if I'd be interested. I told her to let me think about it and I'd get back to her. That was about 6 weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, I decided that going on a couple first dates or outings with new people couldn't be too bad of an idea, so I told Sherry to let Travis know I was interested if he wanted to meet for coffee or something and test the waters, but that I probably wouldn't be free until just after the new year because I'm busy with work and personal/family stuff. She said that sounded fine. And then yesterday happened. Sherry was talking in the back room with two of my other coworkers, who are also moms, about their kids. At some point they were making jokes about spoiling their kids and Sherry said Travis doesn't even make himself a sandwich, just goes into the kitchen and sits there and pouts because he knows mama will come do it for him. I rarely use this term, but I absolutely felt icked out by that. I asked her if she was being serious and she laughed and said yes, he's just a mama's boy. As we were leaving later, I pulled her aside and told her that I wasn't interested in going out with her son anymore. After she pressed me about why several times, I admitted that the sandwich thing turned me off and that I would never go out with a man who seemed so dependent or unwilling to do things himself. Sherry got upset and told me I'm not a mom and don't know what I'm talking about and that surely I expect my parents to still do things for me and stormed off. I'm getting off my break here in a minute but she hasn't spoken to me all day and I'm wondering if I'm in the wrong here. Was I the butthole? Edit. Thank you to everyone so far who has provided their feedback. I just got home from work a few minutes ago and have been trying to read through all the comments and answer any questions or provide any needed clarification. I completely agree with all of you that said I shouldn't have agreed in the first place. That was absolutely my mistake and I was entirely naive about how things would play out. It seemed totally innocent and no big deal to me and I'm very much used to older women in my life trying to set me up with their sons. It's not something I've had to confront the past 4 years because I was able to say I'm taken, but now that I'm single and open to trying to meet new people again, it's not as easy to navigate. I guess I didn't think much of it since I haven't dated anyone new since I was 16 and I still look at these new date situations like I'm still 16. Either way, I'm not mixing work with personal like that ever again. I've learned my lesson. Not the butthole. I guess she's sick of making his sandwiches, and is hoping you'll take over that role. It was grossly inappropriate of her to make the suggestion in the first place, in my opinion. Not the butthole. But the next time, tell the people who want to make you a blind date with a friend or relative, thanks but I don't mix work with personal, or thanks, but if the things don't work I don't want to put you in that uncomfortable position. Am I the butthole for exposing my coworkers' bathroom habits? I, 25 female, work at a smaller company of about 15 people. I get along with pretty much everyone with the exception of someone we'll call Alexis, 40 female. Alexis is very socially conservative and I am not. I do my best to not talk about things I know will cause an argument, but they sometimes happen anyway. One time I used the bathroom right after the cleaning crew finished cleaning it and didn't bother putting the toilet seat down because I was just going to squat to pee. I washed my hands and when I exited, I bumped straight into Alexis. I apologized and went on with my day. For the next 2 weeks, I thought Alexis was being particularly sanctimonious, but I didn't say anything as it wasn't too out of character. The subject of women's sports came up during lunch and she made a snide comment along the lines of, "People like OP ruin them for everyone else." I'm immediately confused. I've never been athletically inclined at any age, so ask, do you mean tall people? No, women that are still biologically men, she says with a glare. At the time, this came out of left field. I am a cisgender woman. While I am still a tomboy in my interests, I am very physically feminine presenting. I said, okay, 1, there is nothing wrong with being transgender. 2, I am not transgender. Why would you even say that? You can't fool me. I saw you come out of the bathroom and the toilet seat was up. I stared in disbelief as she seemed convinced this was the biggest gotcha moment. She couldn't even hide her smug smile. I squatted, Alexis. The energy of the room was getting very awkward, so I decided to make a joke. Are you telling me that you park your bare ass on the toilet seat in public restrooms? She turned bright red. Apparently she did, because she started muttering something about not being weird before bursting into tears and leaving the room. My coworkers think it was rude of me to expose her like that, but I don't think I did anything wrong for trying to defuse a situation she put herself in. Am I the butthole? Edit. I'd like to address a few things. 1. A lot of you mentioned going to HR. I wasn't going to because I thought I would get in trouble too, but if I had been trans, this story could have ended very differently. I'm going to arrange a meeting. 2. I hear you all loud and clear about squatting versus sitting. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with OCD in the height of the pandemic, and many of my delusions are centered around germs and contamination. I'm gonna work on that, but sitting may not be in my future. At the very least, I'm going to look into pelvic floor exercises so I don't end up incontinent at 40. 3. A lot of you think this is fake, and considering that a majority of crap on Reddit never happened, I don't blame you. I was a professional fiction writer for a while, and I try to make what I write at least a little bit interesting to read, so my style may be throwing you off. If I did make this up, I probably would have had at least one coworker in solidarity with me, and, I don't know, maybe I did volleyball in high school? I'm a very lame protagonist. So she can handle everyone knowing she's transphobic but can't handle people knowing she sits when she pees? Not the butthole. Why would any woman choose to pee like this when a toilet had just been cleaned and disinfected? Piss and piss water splashing up from the toilet because you're hovering higher than you would sit down. This really doesn't make any sense. Not the butthole. This woman tried to out someone she considered transgender, not fully understanding how dangerous that can be. HR. Right freaking now. OP, the squat and hover is disgusting. It is one of the main reasons the ladies' restroom is actually dirtier than the men's. Now that that's out of the way, you are not the butthole. Your coworker attempted to out you for some reason, and your return fire was jokingly acting like sitting without a toilet doily is abnormal. You didn't make her cry, she made herself cry. She chose to cry. If your coworkers ever mention or reference it again, remind them that intentionally outing someone without their consent is generally considered to be quite rude, even if she was acting on incorrect information. Perhaps even more so. Am I the butthole for refusing to pay for my son's dental surgery? I'm divorced from my son's mom, and she took the easy way out on the financial arrangements. Basically, I got stuck paying things that are certain, like our son's private school and extracurricular activities, where she's responsible for their health insurance and medical bills and their manny. She doesn't pay much for coverage, and our sons don't need medical care. Until now. Our 8-year super cute son has a tooth growing from the roof of his mouth, and it needs removed quickly. It's not a simple procedure because he needs to be put under anesthesia, and we have to go to a pediatric oral surgeon. Most oral surgeons will not do the procedure on a child. We eventually found a very good pediatric oral surgeon, and it's going to come out to be $3,000. It's that much because dental insurance doesn't cover much, and an anesthesiologist is expensive. It had to be paid half for an appointment and half day of the appointment. My ex asked me if I was going half. I said nope. This bill is your problem, not mine. This is what you wanted, remember? You spent the last few years with so little childcare expenses that you got used to it. She went on to say that she doesn't have that kind of cash laying around, and it doesn't make sense to put it on a credit card with interest rates. I told her to go sell blood. I don't care. And yes, I actually budget my money and could pay all of it, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. She ended up having to take a loan from her credit union to pay for the surgery. Our son was always going to get his surgery, and there was no delay. Edit. Removing the tooth quickly had more to do with trying to get the procedure done before the holidays than medical necessity. Everybody sucks here. Your wife for trying to renege on the agreement, and you for sounding more interested in sticking it to her than your son's welfare. I see the statement that his care was never in question and presume that you would have stepped up and paid if it really had been an issue, so partial credit. But for the sake of your children, you two need to start acting like co-parents instead of squabbling toddlers. Not the butthole for holding your wife to her side of the bargain. When you didn't pick up the slack for her, she found a way to do it herself. That's fine. You do kinda sound like a dick, though, to be honest. Like just petty and bitter. And you two should probably have a conversation about big, unexpected expenses. $3,000 isn't too bad from what your financial situations sound like, but if it were $30,000 or some other amount neither of you could be expected to pay alone without incurring significant hardship, you should have a plan now. Am I the butthole for ruining Thanksgiving dinner by going off and telling my mom to grow a spine? I've changed the names. My sister is 41 and I'm 36. My sister, Beth, is terminal and she has a couple months left at the most. I'm trying to make peace with it, but a part of my heart will always be broken, you know? Beth has come to terms with it, and all of us are just trying to make her last days as peaceful and memorable as possible. Beth, her first husband when she was 20, and he passed in a crash a few years later. After a while my parents introduced her to her second husband Matt. He's some relation to Dad's friend, and Beth and Matt married, then divorced 4 years later. Most of my family still keeps in touch with Matt. Our family has plots in a cemetery that's a lot of our late relatives, including my dad, are buried in, but Beth already said that she wants to be buried in a different cemetery, different city too actually, near her late husband. Mom wasn't completely on board with this, but I thought she'd come around. So I went to Thanksgiving dinner and Matt was there as well. At one point Mom said something like how Beth always listens to me, and I should talk to her about the burial plans. I told her she already knows Beth's wishes and I won't go against that. Matt then joined in the conversation, and what I assume is the real reason behind all this nonsense, said that they get Beth is emotional, but it's disrespectful to their relationship if she's buried next to her first husband. Mom continued to chime in, saying she agrees and that cemetery is a lot further away, and I should at least try to talk to her. I snapped and said I won't be discussing this with Beth. I don't give a frick what they think is respectful or not. She can disrespect Matt all she wants and Mom needs to grow a spine for her daughter instead of supporting Matt's demands. She was pretty mad after that and said they were just asking, and I was ruining Thanksgiving dinner. It's been a couple of weeks and I've got a few messages from other relatives, saying I went off at my mom and Matt for no reason. I do also have other people telling me I said what I had to say, so am I the butthole? Not the butthole, Matt can frick off. Beth gets the final say on where she wants to be buried and if nobody else likes it they can frick off too. Not the butthole. Matt is her ex-husband by divorce. He doesn't get a say where she's buried, and it's none of his damn business. You're completely right, your mom needs to be advocating for her daughter, not her ex-husband. Beth has her wishes and is clear. Thank you for contributing to advocate for her. ETA, are you executor of her will? Sure needs to make sure whoever is will honor her wishes. Not the butthole. And I hope that your sister legal protections in place ensuring that her wishes are followed. Because I'm not certain I would trust your mother to honor Beth's wishes. And why in the world would Matt think that an ex-husband is entitled to any input at all as to where your sister is buried? Am I the butthole for making my fiancé's family uncomfortable and playing dumb about it? I, 25 male, am engaged to my amazing fiancée Jessie, 24 female. We met 6 years ago in college and our relationship started off as friends, turned into more and we got engaged 3 months ago. I have known her parents and siblings for 4 years and have grown to really like them in that time. Especially in the last year when we got to spend more time together. Some BG on me that they learned over this period of time. My dad died when I was 5 months old after an accident at work. When I was 12 my mom died suddenly and I spent the remainder of my childhood in foster care because my only living family, my dad's parents, both had Alzheimer's and were in a nursing home together. Back to the main topic. Jessie and I got engaged and the first thing her family wanted to do was throw us an engagement party. In the lead up to this I met a few more extended family members who all seemed nice. Then the engagement party happened and things took a major turn. My name became such a big topic of conversation. So I hear them talk about how silly it is for a grown man to be named Bowie, and surely my real name is Bo/Bowen and Bowie is just a nickname, and how crazy and cruel were parents to saddle a man with a juvenile name like Bowie. Then one of Jessie's aunts asked me if I would be using a different, more mature and masculine name, in our marriage and I said of course not because it would not be my name. Then I got a bunch of questions from that aunt as well as Jessie's parents and 2 of her uncles about my thoughts on the name, etc. and whether it was a good idea to use such a name as a married man. Then asking if I didn't feel strange about a name my parents probably picked as a cute name for a baby but not a grown man. That's when I said they'd need to head to the grave and ask my parents, seeing as I could not speak for their thought process and how it might not be easy to get an answer, with them being in the ground for 25 and 12.5 years respectively, but I'm sure my dead parents would love to hear their criticisms of my name. Jessie was at my side the entire time and she was mad at her family but I told her to be calm and I could handle it. So I had said all this to them and I was cheerful and then I continued on as if nothing happened but Jessie's family were very uncomfortable with how I addressed them but I played dumb and acted like nothing happened. After the party they told Jessie I had been so rude to make them uncomfortable. She told them they had been judgmental buttholes. I told her parents that I hoped they would understand why they were inappropriate with their comments and questions and gave them a chance to let it go. They said I was rude and had clearly enjoyed it when I played dumb like I did and I should apologize for making them uncomfortable. Jessie told them hell would be freezing over before I apologize for it. Am I the butthole? Not the butthole, well played OP. You took an extremely upsetting and insensitive situation brought on by your future in-laws family, and served them each a full helping of crow to chow down on. I applaud your efforts, well done indeed. No apology necessary from you. Not the butthole, the audacity to suggest someone should change their first name. Am I the butthole for not letting my brother's new wife live with us? My brother moved in with me this summer. He has issues that he's working on. He comes and goes as he pleases but last week he brought home a wife. Some girl he's been seeing but I don't know at all. My brother insisted by law I have to allow his wife Yo live there. Things got heated and I told her if she didn't leave I would get the police involved and have her removed from my property. I'm not going to let some rando live at my apartment. After that my brother moved out and him and his wife are bouncing around from shelter to shelter. A few family members said I should let them move in over the holidays but I do not want her to establish a legal residency at my place and she's already tried strong-arming me and to say I have to legally live with her husband. I know it's the holiday season and Christmas is coming up so everything is super awkward with my other family members and I'm accused of being such an ass. Over this. Not the butthole. All these other family members should put their money where their mouths are. AITA, also you should look up tenant rights in your area. It's possible your brother might qualify as one. You might end up having to not let him stay over at all to avoid these legal issues. And to tell the family members that are giving you grief that you'll let your brother know they have offered to house them. You owe nothing to degenerates that won't take care of themselves. Especially, the wife, like come on, a legal right to live with her husband and mooch off you. She does not sound sane. Not the butthole. If your family members are so concerned about your brother and his new wife's homelessness, then they can open their doors. It's not your obligation or responsibility to house them. Am I the butthole telling my niece she can leave after she went against the rules in my home, which she was staying in rent-free? ETA, when I said no socializing I meant no one at my house. Amy can go out with anyone she wants, no issue. She agreed to this. Throwaway. Ages, I'm 30, my husband 34 and Amy 22. Our niece Amy, my husband's half-brother's daughter, stayed at our home recently for almost 2 weeks. Amy had exam season at college, her school is a bit of a drive from where she lives and she'd be losing a lot of studying time going back and forth, so she asked if she could stay with us as we're nearby. She didn't pay any type of rent but did reimburse the increase in utilities. She offered to pay for utilities by the way, we didn't ask her to. We agreed because this was for an educational purpose, and I made it very clear to her she couldn't be using this time for socializing, mingling with friends and so on. Amy agreed to everything. Last week I came home from work and saw Amy's husband in the kitchen. He'd come with a report she left at home. I asked her what was going on. She said she made him coffee since he made the trip and he's only here for 30 minutes. I reminded Amy we allowed her to stay here to make her studies easier, not so she can be bringing men over. I've also discussed this with her beforehand and she agreed, but now she's going against it. Amy started acting snarky so I replied she needs to respect other people's house and rules, otherwise she can leave. She got upset and was quiet the rest of the time, but she did end up leaving a few days early. My husband said Amy should have respected the rules but I was too harsh on her. I did text her later, but she didn't reply and she didn't pick up my husband's calls either. He did talk to his half-brother and they were pissed off, but I also told a couple of my family members about it and they think I'm fine. Am I the butthole? You're the butthole. Her husband coming in for a cup of coffee when he dropped off school papers she needed is not her bringing men over. Sure, your house your rules. But your reaction to this was completely over the top. As was expecting her to pay for the increase in utilities during her 2-week stay. You're the butthole. Her husband isn't bringing men over. He was doing her a favor and she offered him a cup of coffee. What on earth is wrong with you? To top it off, you charge a family member for utilities for a short stay? AITA for refusing to remove her alcohol from my house for guests. My 41F 16-year-old daughter has been dating a boy for 7 months now and mentioned she'd like his family to come over for Christmas. He has several siblings who have significant others and younger kids. I am great with this as I love entertaining and have no family around. But herein lays the problem, the family is very religious and the father is a recovering alcoholic. I enjoy a drink or two now and again, but I'm fine not drinking around them when they are here. However, my daughter informed me I'll need to clear all alcohol out of house and fridge including my cooking wines and baking liquors. Personally I think that's a lot to ask of me. I spoke with my husband and he agrees but others have said it's a simple thing, just hide everything elsewhere. So would I be an if I tell my daughter if she wants me to host, I'm not clearing out alcohol? Not the butthole. Keeping it put away, fair enough. Removing it entirely, no. No buttholes here. I suspect this unreasonable request did not originate from the boy's parents. Info, why is it that you need to remove it entirely? I would understand keeping the alcohol out of sight from a recovering alcoholic, but it's not like the man is going to go through your kitchen cabinets, right? This is your house and what remains in your house is up to you. It would be one thing if she asked you to put it out of sight, but quite another to remove it. Does this boy's father have zero self-control? If he has zero self-control, is this the sort of person you want entering your abode? Honestly, you should reach out to the other family, let them know what is in your house and let them decide if they will still come over or not. Edited to add, not the butthole whatsoever. Am I the butthole for refusing to pay more money for a massage? So a friend of mine has a small massage business. She's currently studying to be a masseuse and she wants people to test on, so she offers 4 discount massages every month for €45. I booked one and paid her upfront. On the day of the massage she messaged me in the morning that she was sick and that she wanted to cancel the massage for the day. I didn't respond until late evening because I was working, but when I did respond I told her I saw it, it's fine and I hope she feels better. A couple of days later she texted me if I wanted half my money back or if I wanted to rebook for half the money. This struck me as odd and I didn't fully understand what she meant. I said I'd like to rebook since I already paid for it anyways. We set up a date and SHW sent me a payment request for your 22,50. I told her I already paid for the massage and she went on to explain that she put on her page that she'll keep half of the money if the massage is cancelled. I was a bit baffled and told her that this was surely meant for customers because if it were up to me, I would have come over. She said she didn't know that since I didn't respond in time to her message and therefore she wanted either half of the money for a new appointment or she'd give me back half the money. It really messed with my head. If she keeps the money every time she cancels, why not cancel every time then? It seems unfair to me. I told her I was not gonna pay more money because I'm not big on funds and did this also to help her out. So either she'd give everything back or I'd get a new appointment. She told me she'd then give me half back and I got really mad at her and told her she's a scammer. Some friends are siding with her because I'm notoriously bad at responding. It overwhelms me sometimes so I shut off my phone, and they felt that she was right about me having to respond to her. I responded to her before the original time we booked the appointment so I don't think it was that bad. So am I the butthole for refusing to pay more / wanting all of my money back? Not the butthole. She cancelled, you saw that she cancelled and didn't come because of it, and you responded later. There's no reason for her to keep the money. This wasn't a problem with you responding in time, you did. The problem is your friend charging you for a service, not providing it, and then insisting she keep any amount of money for no service performed. Some friend. In short, what you're describing her doing is theft, and she is a scammer. Not the butthole. Am I the butthole for leaving a Vegas trip after we got there and ruining the trip for the others? I, 22 female, went to Las Vegas with 3 others, I'll call them Mary, 23 female, Lydia, 23 female, and Kitty, 24 female. Mary is my cousin and Lydia and Kitty are friends. They wanted to go earlier but I had exams during that time, so we pushed it back a bit. This was meant to be a girls' trip, but a couple of weeks ago Mary and Kitty both said they wanted to bring their boyfriends and it would be more fun sightseeing with a bigger group. I was a little annoyed because I thought it was just us girls, but Lydia was fine with it and I said sure, whatever. The original hotel situation was 2 rooms, me and Mary in one and Lydia and Kitty in another, but they said they're looking for separate rooms since they'll be staying with their boyfriends, and I'd probably have to bunk with Lydia. I had no issue with that so I didn't ask any more questions. So we arrive at our hotel in Vegas and it turns out Mary and Kitty didn't end up booking rooms. The plan was to arrive at the hotel then see if they can spare a room, but obviously given the holiday season, and it's Vegas, all the affordable rooms were gone. I was pissed because they never said beforehand they hadn't booked. Kitty then said it's not a big issue, we still have the 2 rooms originally booked and if we pay a little extra the hotel gives daybeds. Each couple takes a room, then me and Lydia bunk with one. I never agreed to this and I didn't feel comfortable third-wheeling with Mary and her boyfriend, who I don't know very well to begin with. I suggested checking a nearby hotel to see if they had a room, but the others didn't want to be separated. I then said maybe we can put the boys in one room and the 4 of us can squeeze into one, but they shut that down too and insisted the couple plan was best. Eventually I told them I'm not comfortable with this and I'm out, hope they have fun. Mary said it's really not a big deal and Lydia has no problem with it, she came by herself too so what's my issue? I ended up finding a place to check into for the night, and caught a flight back yesterday. Well, all 3 of them are really pissed at me, saying they changed the timing for me and I've ruined the vacation, and if I really didn't want to go I should have opted out before. Kitty texted saying she didn't realize I was so prudish and gag at the sight of a man, doesn't make much sense because I'm married, and thanks for making this all about you. So Reddit, am I the butthole? Not the butthole. Your friend's lack of planning is not something you are obligated to cater to. Absolutely not the butthole. This is egregious. You're paying for a room and have to bunk on a cot in with a couple? That's complete bullcrap, and I would have left, too. It was bad enough to switch up a girl's weekend to a couple thing. I think you have more leeway than you should have. They ruined the vacation, not you. Not the butthole. They made the trip more complicated by wanting to bring their boyfriends, which is super rude in my opinion, and then didn't properly accommodate for those extra people, making you uncomfortable in the process. This was supposed to be your collective trip and they made it all about them. Them claiming you ruined the trip isn't true. They ruined it by changing the plans in the first place. Just to be clear, if you're the Lizzie of the group, Jane would never pull that crap. Not the butthole. Am I the butthole for putting a lock on the freezer so my husband can't access it at all since he won't stop drinking my liquor? My husband and I have been married nearly 2 years and together for 3, and every time I buy some vodka for myself he drinks it without replacing it, and I only get to drink maybe 2 to 3 shots worth of a 750 milliliters bottle before the rest is gone within a week. I've asked and told him repeatedly not to touch my vodka, because it's rare that I get the chance to buy some, so when I occasionally get the money, I like to treat myself and make it last. He doesn't listen despite numerous conversations and fights about it. Important to note, neither of us drink heavily, we usually only have one drink a night if that, but he does go through liquor quickly. I buy the 750 milliliters bottles knowing full well that if he would leave it alone like I ask of him, that the bottle would last me around 6 months. However, I bought a bottle 2 weeks ago and came home less than a week later to find it gone when I should have still had 2/3 of the bottle left. I made it abundantly clear to him, several times, that he was not to touch it under any circumstances unless I gave him explicit permission, and even then it was a 2-shot limit, but it did nothing. I bought a fridge lock on Amazon, which I installed before putting my brand new bottle in the freezer. Now he's mad that he can't get into the freezer at will and is saying I'm treating him like a child by locking him out completely when I could simply ask him nicely not to touch my stuff. So, am I the butthole for putting a lock on the freezer to prevent my husband from drinking my liquor after asking and telling him repeatedly, for the last 3 years not to touch it and being ignored? Not the butthole. I don't drink that much, but just less than 750 milliliters, accounting for the 2 to 3 shots you drink, of vodka in a week? Seems excessive. That's one issue. The other is the blatant disrespect your husband is showing you. You spoke to him repeatedly across 3 years, he kept drinking it, so left you with no alternative. He says that you're treating him like a child, but he is being a child. Not the butthole, but I'm afraid the lock won't solve the issue. 1 drink per night doesn't sound like a lot, but if you add the vodka your husband drinks behind your back and his lack of self-control, everything suggests he's an alcoholic. Am I the butthole for planning a vacation without my husband? My husband, 33 male, and I, 30 female, have been together for 9 years now. When we first started dating, we both discussed the most important thing to us, and it was traveling. Unfortunately, we just have different ideas of what traveling is. I work remotely, but I make 6 figures a year, so it's worth it. Plus the benefits are amazing. I get about a month off a year in PTO, which is almost unheard of in the US. So I usually like to use my PTO to travel the world. My husband works for 2 months and then has the next month off. With every new site we get to move to another state, and that's his favorite thing. He gets paid a lot less than me, but he says it doesn't matter because he's living the dream. I used to align my vacation days with his month off so we could travel together. This is the first year that I deliberately plan my vacation days when he works. Here's why. Our first year of dating, I wanted to do something small. We traveled to some of the national parks and had a wonderful time. It was gorgeous and he loved it just about as much as I did. The next year, we decided to visit England. He was insufferable. All he did was complain about everything. It was a nightmare, and every day he'd find something to complain about until eventually I cut the trip short and just took him home. I thought maybe he just didn't like England, so I tried a few different countries over the next 3 years, and he acted like a baby every single time. We went to Italy, Greece, and China, but he hated everything. I gave up and just told him to plan our next vacation. He took me to Disneyland, his hometown, Las Vegas, and Florida. Nothing outside of the continental US. I never complained about any of his vacations. I went in with an open mind but always came home feeling a little cheated out of an experience. I mean, I haven't really gotten to enjoy one of my vacations in 5 years and I feel like I'm missing out. So I scheduled my vacation for January, not one of the months he's off, and have plans to fly to France. I told him from the start this was happening, but I guess this entire time he thought I was joking. Now he's begging me not to go. He told me that he would miss me too much. I told him I just wanted to enjoy a vacation. And besides, I was only going to be gone for 2 weeks. I wasn't even going to use up my entire vacation time in France. I was going to spend the first and last week of my vacation with my husband. He threw a tantrum when I told him I was still going to go for the 2 weeks as my boss had already approved it. He said I might as well stay in France and then called his mother. She called me an hour later to yell at me and I had to explain myself. And now his whole side of the family is arguing with each other about it. Even his mom and dad are fighting about it. I just feel like this whole thing has gotten way too out of control and I may be the off for starting all this family drama. Why is it guys on this thread are always jerking about their wives to their mommies? Assuming you've explained how his actions on international trips make you feel, not the butthole. Not the butthole. He called his mother. He called his mother. He is a grown man who's been with you for 9 years and he dobbed on you to his mother. Does he sulk and moan when he doesn't get his own way in other aspects of your life, too? I'll admit I find the separate vacations weird, but you told him and told him. Not your fault, he shrugged it off. Not the butthole. With every new site we get to move to another state and that's his favorite thing. Hashtag get to? That sound like a freaking nightmare. Am I the butthole for being honest with my dad after he asked for my opinion? I, 18 female, live at home with my mom, 57 female, dad, 60 male, and sister, 15 female. My parents have always had a problem when it comes to my sister, they spoil her rotten. They've done this for most of her life and now it's gotten out of hand. She's begun to ask for more outlandish things like a car, but my parents can't afford that. Especially not the car she wants. They've decided it's time to start saying no to her and it's backfired immensely. My sister's started throwing tantrums, refusing to go to school etc. My mom has tried to parent her and tell her that she can't have everything in the world, however my dad thinks they should just give her what she wants. He and my mom can't agree on what to do so he came to me for advice. To clarify, I'm not a parent nor do I have any experience with children. He said give me your honest opinion. So I just gave him my honest opinion as his daughter and her sister. I said you spoiled her too much and now it's coming back to bite you in the butt. You put yourself in this situation and now you must deal with it. I'm not her parent so I have no say in this but you do. If you cave now you'll be dealing with this forever. He got mad at me and said I didn't have to be in butthole about it then walked off. Did I do anything wrong? He asked for my option so I gave it to him. I talked to a couple friends and they think I'm the butthole for being harsh with my wording. I don't think I did anything wrong but I need an outside opinion on this. So Reddit, am I the butthole? Not the butthole. People need to be careful when they ask for honest opinions. Not the butthole. Dad, give me your honest opinion. OP, honest opinion. Dad, you're an off for doing what I asked. Yeah, no, Dad shouldn't have asked if he didn't want to hear it. You did nothing wrong, he just doesn't like that he did. You did nothing wrong. Not a damn thing. Don't want to hear the answer? Don't ask the question. It's curious why he asked you, and how they seemingly raised you a lot better. Not the butthole. Am I the butthole for referring to my Bill by a nickname he doesn't like? My Bill, late 30s, has been calling me, early 30 SF, princess and high maintenance ever since we went on a trip to a family wedding and we shared an Airbnb. He thinks I'm high maintenance because I'm into hair care and skin care. I don't travel with a chest full of products but I have more than just shampoo, conditioner and moisturizer. I have waist-length hair, and both my hair and skin is super dry. It's genetic, but I've finally gotten into a good routine where my skin isn't tight all the time and my hair doesn't look or feel like straw. Before we went away, he and my partner, early 30s M, went to pick up the wedding gift we were giving from the shop and I asked my partner if he could pick me a couple things up from the shop that I was running out of. My partner said yes as it was next to where they were going but my Bill gave him a hard time for the amount of products I asked him to pick up. I like to keep backups of the items I use and go through regularly as I can't stand going shopping. My partner told him to stop as it's not hurting anyone, and if it should bother anyone it should be him as he has to live with it but it doesn't bother him. My partner actually likes it and often compliments me on my soft skin and hair. I have told Bill that I don't like the nickname of princess or being called high maintenance. I don't see anything wrong in wanting to look after myself and taking pride in my appearance. My routine doesn't take preference over anything. If anything it's the first thing I drop. I didn't do my routine when my son was born, I focused on him and his needs. Me and my needs come last to the needs of my family. My Bill hasn't stopped with the nickname of princess, he even refers to me as princess on social media. My partner has told him to stop numerous times as well. As he's not listening to me or his brother, I have given him the nickname of twat as I know he doesn't like being referred to as a twat. Bill isn't happy that I've taken to calling him twat. I know it's really childish and petty but I feel like it's the only way he'll learn. My partner thinks it's funny that Bill is getting annoyed as I'm just doing the same thing he has. Am I the butthole for being as petty as my Bill and giving him a nickname that he doesn't like? Not the butthole. You tried the more civil route and it didn't help, so you're completely justified in giving him a taste of his own medicine. Not the butthole. He could end it if he stopped with the derogatory name he calls you. He is definitely the a-hole. Not the butthole. I, F, have a name that has a male equivalent. They can both be shortened to the same nickname. My husband has the male equivalent of my name, because yes we are just that cute. Think Daniel and Danielle. Anyway, I've always disliked being called by that particular abbreviation of the name, think Danny/Danny, and go by another. I had a boss named Richard. He went by Richie. One day he decided he was gonna be smart and started calling me the short name I don't like. Hey Danny. I responded with yes, Dick. Everybody laughed, and he never tried that again. Am I the butthole for buying a stranger and her children food and putting back my child's gift to do so? I went to Walmart to get my teenage son his Christmas present, a 32-inch TV on sale for $108. After we put the TV in the cart I went to the toy section to look for gifts for my younger kids' presents. I never got the chance though because right as we got to the toy section a woman with a small baby, maybe 4 to 8 months old, and a small boy, maybe 4 or 5, came up with a cart of a few clothes, household items and food and asked me if I could please help her purchase these items. She spoke in broken English and so I used Google Translate to speak to her. Her baby was very sick and had a high fever. She told me to touch the baby's forehead, and yes, the baby was hot to the touch. She said something about immigration and that she had nothing. I told her I would help her as I had just gotten paid. I walked her to the front to check out, and the total was much higher than I expected. I only had my $500 paycheck and the total was over $300. So I put back the TV. My teenager stormed off then and went to the car and then texted me that I care more about some random person than I care about him. After I helped the woman, I went and spoke to my son about how I can still get him his gift maybe even before Christmas, and that I do care about him more than anything, but that I have been poor and struggling before and I know what it is like to not have anyone or anything, and that if helping those kids have medicine and food means waiting a week or two for a Christmas present, then that's the right thing to do. I will get him his gift, but I do feel like a big now. Some of my friends think I got scammed. So Reddit, am I the butthole? Update, I offered to go back and get the TV and my son said it was okay and that he thinks I got scammed but felt bad about getting upset about it because he knows I love him. He said he'd probably have done the same thing if he had money. We hugged it out and I told him in the future if that ever happens again I'll ask him first if it's okay before I act. And scam or not, on the off chance it wasn't, it's worth it to me. I'd rather risk getting played than thinking there is a sick child going hungry and I could have helped but didn't. It's Christmas, y'all. Yes, I am poor. Yes, I donated plasma to pay for an EpiPen recently, and that's precisely why I care so much when I see others struggle. TLDR, son and me are aces, he's not upset at all, and I don't regret helping but will do it smarter in the future. People are gonna come for me but you're the butthole. Your heart was in the right place. It was lovely of you to want to help someone. But over $300 worth of stuff? That's daylight robbery, not needing a helping hand. Who loads a cart with that much stuff and then approaches a stranger and asks them to pay for it? Whilst, in my opinion, that makes you a little too generous and trusting, my reason for you're the butthole is that you prioritized helping this woman over purchasing your own son's Christmas gift. No, he does not need a new TV. I'm sure there's a wonderful lesson here for him about appreciating what you have, not expecting things blah blah blah, but you promised him the TV, took him with you to buy the TV and then changed your mind. He's a teenager, they can't always process their emotions the way adults can because they are still learning, and you just taught him that helping a stranger was a higher priority to you than fulfilling a promise to him. You're the butthole. You got scammed. $300? You're an easy mark. Am I the butthole for refusing to attend my friend's fake wedding? I have a friend who has always been interested in the idea of having a big, extravagant wedding, despite never being in a serious relationship. For years, she's talked about wanting to have a fake wedding where she and a group of friends would put on a ceremony and reception for the sake of experiencing the thrill of getting married, without actually going through it. Recently, she announced that she was going to finally go through with her fake wedding plans and invited me to attend. I was hesitant at first, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings by declining, so I agreed to go. However, as the date of the wedding approached, I started to feel more and more uncomfortable about the whole situation. I didn't want to be a part of something that felt so fake and pointless, and I didn't want to encourage my friend's delusion that a wedding is something you can just have for fun, without any real commitment or meaning behind it. I tried to talk to my friend about my concerns, but she brushed them off and insisted that the fake wedding was just a harmless bit of fun and that I was overthinking it. I didn't want to cause any drama or ruin her plans, so I decided to just go along with it and attend the wedding. But as the ceremony began and I saw my friend standing at the altar, surrounded by her bridesmaids and groomsmen, I just couldn't bring myself to go through with it. I got up and left, feeling like a complete butthole for ruining my friend's wedding. Now, she's furious with me and I'm not sure how to make things right. I know I probably should have just gone along with it and pretended to enjoy the fake wedding, but at the same time, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was all just a huge waste of time and money. Am I the butthole for refusing to attend my friend's fake wedding? So instead of simply responding no, you went and waited until just the right moment to show your disapproval in the most disruptive way? You didn't refuse to attend. You attended and caused a scene. You're the butthole. You're the butthole. Jesus. The girl wanted to throw herself a party. My dog turned 13 and I threw him a full legit bar mitzvah. Like everyone, including the rabbi, brought their dogs and had them wear puppy yarmulkes. People even gave great gifts and money, to be donated to the SPCA. 10/10. Throwing pointless parties is a wonderful thing. Okay, but you didn't refuse to attend, you said you would be going, didn't turn the invitation down, and got up and walked out partway through. You're the butthole.